Hi everyone on YouTube, WHQL here. I had some of my subscribers ask me for a Crysis 3 benchmark, so I just wanted to show the frames per second in this game. A major problem with Crysis 3 is they don't have a in-game benchmark, so it makes it really hard to compare results. So the way I did this benchmark is I actually did Fraps first. I recorded using the in-game benchmark button. You can press a button on there, and it doesn't record the gameplay, but it records the minimum frames per second, the average frames per second, and the maximum frames per second, and it puts it in a text file. So I ran through the first level, which is extremely demanding, and just went through the first level and walked through, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to record it and show you the frames per second, but just keep in mind that when you're recording in-game footage, your frames per second does drop compared to normal. So I'm losing about 15 to 20 frames per second less than if I wasn't recording using MSI Afterburner. So that's something you just got to keep in mind. I did have some problems with MSI Afterburner. I found out that you can't record using Nvidia beta drivers. So that's something you got to keep in mind. I was trying to use Nvidia 314.14 beta driver, and it wouldn't let me record anything in it, so I decided to go back to the Nvidia 314.07 WHQL driver, and that's a good driver. It's pretty stable. Just keep in mind with the beta driver, I get extra 3 to 4 frames per second average higher compared to the regular 314 driver, so that's something I noticed, and the frames per second is more smooth average. So I'm going to show you my options I have in here. The graphics settings, I'm playing a 1920 by 1200 resolution. Keep in mind this is higher resolution than 1080p, so this is 1200p, it's more demanding. I'm playing at full screen, anti-aliasing is MSAA high 8x setting. Texture resolution is very high, vertical sync is off, and system spec is very high. Advanced graphics settings, the game effects is very high. Objects are very high, particle effects are very high, post-processing is very high, shading is very high, shadows is very high, water is very high, anisotropic filtering is on 16x, and motion blur amount is disabled because it makes me sick, that motion blur. I mean, it really makes me dizzy, and a lot of people turn it off, and the lens flare is on. Now you guys are probably wondering, what's this weird pink thing in the top left hand corner? That is the on-screen display built into MSI Afterburner, and it's kind of like EVGA Precision X. It shows all your stats, your temperatures, your GPU usage, your clock speed, your memory usage, the memory speed, and the frames per second. So where it says D3, D11, DirectX 11, that's where my frames per second is. So this game, I'm going to show you everything, and I'm going to start a new campaign. And if you want to compare results, you can kind of run through and do the same setup I'm doing. Now this beginning video, the frames per second. This beginning video, the frames per second drops really low. I don't know what's up with it. Crysis 3 really needs a patch. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, so we're at the beginning right here, beginning of the game, Crysis 3. We're getting about 15 frames per second. It dropped right there, but average we're getting about 44, 45 frames per second. What I was talking about, the reason why this game needs a patch, and I was reading online about this, is Crysis 3 has a problem. Let's see if I can find it. You have these ropes. Yeah, I'll show you later on. You got these particle rope effects, and some reason it's really demanding, and it drops the frames per second lower than it should be normally. So it's very, very insane. So right here we're going to follow Psycho. That's this guy's name, is Psycho. These are EVGA 670GTX for the win, and 3-way SLI. Okay, this part right here. Frames per second drops to 35 frames per second average. Now with the Nvidia beta drivers, the 314.14 beta drivers, those get about 3 to 4 frames per second average, and it's a lot smoother. It's about 39 to 40 frames per second average on that same spot I was looking at. So yeah, I like using this first level because it's extremely demanding, and the frames per second, I mean, just drops like crazy. Now I normally get in this, while recording, I get about 45 to 55 frames per second average, but when I'm not recording, it's always 55 to 65 frames per second average. It doesn't really drop below that playing in-game. It's just that I'm recording. Now, I'm playing with a wireless Xbox 360 controller, so I can make it more easier for me to do this walkthrough. If you want to overheat your graphics cards, because this Crysis 3 is very, very demanding. I mean, it literally overheats your graphics cards. Jump in this water and just start swimming around and wait for your graphics cards to overheat with the temperature. So I'm just walking through here. Keep in mind the 3 EVGA 670 GTX for the wins are on top of each other, just stacked on top of each other so they can't breathe. So if you look at my temperature, the top card actually hit 90 Celsius. The second GPU card, which is in the middle, hits 85 Celsius, and the bottom card hits 85 Celsius. GPU usage is a lot higher normally than this. I get about 93 to 95% GPU usage, so it's only a little bit lower because I'm recording. VRAM usage right now is 1,796 megabytes of VRAM usage. So right here, average frames per second, 60 frames per second right here. Let's see, 58 frames. Yeah, about 58 to 60 frames per second right here. I'm getting 70 frames per second average right here. And I'm just walking up here. Now let's say I look at the sky right here. I know it's like cheating. I get about 90 frames per second, 94. If I look down at the ground, I'm getting 70 frames per second. So this is the problem with Crysis 3. I'll show you right here. You got these ropes that are right in here, and they have like a, I guess it's like a tessellation model in there, and it's very, very extremely demanding. And I was reading online, that's the reason why you're taking such a huge performance hit in Crysis 3. Because if I look away right here, I'm getting 70 frames per second. I go to look at this stupid rope right here, and it's dropping to 52 frames per second. So that tells me there's something wrong with this rope particle effect. With this solution, I mean, I can max out any game. I killed Crysis 3, I killed Metro 2033, Hitman Absolution, Far Cry 3. There's nothing that I can't max out with this 3-way EVGA 670 GTX for the win and 3-way SLI. So he's telling me to put my silencer on right now. Okay, now look at the GPU temperature right there. 91C, 86C, 85C. So what that tells me is the cards can't breathe at all, and it's okay with the temperatures because the 3 EVGA 670 GTX for the wins are made to handle higher temperatures. I mean, they can handle 100 to 105 Celsius, no problem. They won't damage the card. What happens when the temperature gets really warm with these cards is they throttle the speed down. They throttle the clock speed down. So I don't know if you look at the top left-hand or right-hand corner or left-hand corner where it shows GPU 1, it shows your megahertz speed right there. It says 1176 megahertz. I normally get 1189 megahertz on all three. Yeah, see, it's 1189. 1189 megahertz on all three GPUs, but the when they overheat like this, they drop the clock speed to lower the temperatures. So that's why the Nvidia boost clock or boost technology. That's what it does. It will drop the clocks if you get high temperatures like this. So right here, 57 frames per second. Now there's a problem. Here's another glitch that Crysis 3 needs to be patched. I look at this window right here, and I'm getting 48 frames per second, but I look out of the window, and I'm not getting that. So right here, there's a guy. Oh, the guy's shooting at me. So right here, I'm going to run through here, hit this guy with melee. Yeah, try to pick up his gun if I can get it. Yay, I got it. 60 frames per second average, 55, 64. Come here, you. Just running through here. Okay, so I'm looking at the generator right now.
Sometimes I feel sorry
I'm
for
in
these
70
bastards,
frames per second. I look up at the ceiling.
but mostly I just kill
I'm
them.
getting about 72 frames per second. I look it down at the floor. I'm getting 82 frames per second, and I normally just look around. And I'm getting about 60 frames per second average while recording. About 55 to 60, so it's not too bad. Normally I get a lot higher frames per second without recording. So right here, I just go through here. You can see all the smoke and particle effects. It's very, very, very demanding Crysis 3. I mean, it literally overheats my graphics cards if you look at the temperature. The guy's like, I need help! Ah! Look at that, 91 Celsius. Now look at the VRAM usage right here. This is something I wanted to point out. 1,943 megabytes of VRAM. So that's something you really got to keep in mind, is I'm starting to hit the point. I'm only playing a 1920 by 1200 resolution. I'm starting to hit the point where I'm almost running out of VRAM on the graphics card, because I only have 2 gigabytes of VRAM. Okay, once I kill these guys, I'll show you a point where Crysis 3 is flawed, and it needs a patch or a new driver. I mean, this isn't the only game that I had these kind of weird laggy problems. When I had my two HD 5870s, I'm trying to think what game it was. Not Lost Planet 2, but it was another game that they had driver problems. Okay, so we're going to go back right here. I just want to show you how much of a frames per second drop you get with explosions. So right here, 62 frames per second average. I blow this up, and it dropped to 48 frames per second with that explosion. Now these particle rope effects. See, I don't know if you can see it right here, 38 frames per second average. It's these stupid ropes. They drop the frames per second like crazy. So watch this. Normally I'm looking right here. 41 frames per second. I blow this up. 14 frames per second. Now, I know that's not demanding. I mean, I got Physics X technology. That's just a stupid piece of metal that flew out that way, but it's the ropes right here that's making it really taking a huge performance drop. So you can see my VRAM usage, 1,948 megahertz VRAM. All three clocks, two of the cards are the EVGA 670 GTX for the Win models. And the bottom graphics card is the stock reference Small PCB EVGA 670, but that is overclocked to the EVGA 670 GTX for the Win model. So all three cards are technically all EVGA 670 GTX for the Wins. So whenever I say EVGA 670 GTX for the Wins, they're technically all the same card. They're all at the same clock speed. From the benchmarks I've run, the performance is right up there with 680 GTX. And, you know, I run like 3D Mark 11, and I can see the frames for the score. I'm actually scoring high, a little bit higher, like 300, 400 points higher in 3D Mark 11 compared to 3 EVGA, compared to 3 stock reference 680 GTX. So, performance is very, very insane. I can't wait to better Nvidia drivers. You're going to get more performance increase. But yeah, normally in my benchmark, you know, I ran around and shot those barrels. I don't do that. I just run through the level like this very slowly.
Romeo 1, moving to target.
Particle effects, you can see right here. Okay, here's another glitch right here. Right here, I'm again 57 frames per second. When I go up to this window, I'm only going to get 25 frames per second. It's a glitch with the game. Look at that, 15 frames per second.
That was a bit messy. Maybe you need this.
Okay.
Let's go.
So if you, I don't know if you've seen that right here. If you look at my VRAM usage, at one point it hit 2 gigabytes of VRAM. Yeah, it's not doing it right now, but my other, I recorded this video like 3 or 4 times. It pretty much goes up past 2 gigabytes of VRAM, so that's something I got to worry about. So yeah, they need to fix that with that window problem, because the frames per second is actually pretty smooth. So here's what I do. I go into here. Now remember the ropes. You got these ropes that are swinging right here. Now watch this. I go into here, 45 frames per second. I look at these stupid ropes. 15 frames per second. So there's no reason why it should take us such a huge performance hit. So I go through here. Yeah, I'm going to try to take these guys out. There's a guy down here. I'm going to melee him. Oh, stealth kill. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Go through here, melee this guy. Go through here, melee this guy. Then there's another guy that's up here. Where are you, guy? I see you. I'm just gonna melee this guy. Frames per second average, it's saying about 42 frames per second. VRAM usage, 1,990 megabytes of VRAM. Oh, there he is. So normally on my benchmark run, I'll just run through here, kill those guys, and go up here, and that guy should be normally right here.
Let's move.
Roger that.
Then I go into here. If you look at the GPU temperatures, the top EVGA 670 GTX for the win is hitting 90 to 91 Celsius, 86, 85 on the second, and 85 on the third. My GPU usage is a lot higher normally than this. It's just because I'm recording. I usually get 93 to 95% GPU usage on all three cards. So Crysis 3 is awesome when it comes to that regard, when it comes to three-way SLI support. It does need, they do need some better Nvidia drivers, but I'm pretty impressed so far. So you can see the explosion right there. Normally there's a guy in here, you could hit him with a bow, and I'm getting close to where I'd stop my benchmark right here. So then I look in here and I would stop my benchmark. Now, Linus Tech Tips was running his benchmark on the level, it's like an autosave, it says welcome to the jungle. I can run that benchmark if you guys want me to. You just tell me in the comments if you want me to run maybe more Crysis 3 benchmark gameplays. It's really hard to compare these benchmarks because there's no in-game benchmark. That's something you just got to keep in mind. Performance isn't crazy. Recording with MSI Afterburner, I'm getting 45 to 55 frames per second average. Without recording, I'm getting 55 to 65 frames per second. It really depends on what part of the map you're on. This level is one of the most demanding levels in the game, I think, because it really drops extremely low. When Nvidia has better drivers in the future, you're going to get more performance with a solution like this, with the three-way EVGA 670 GTX for the wins. Something you got to keep in mind, the three cards will overheat your room, so I mean, it gets extremely warm with the three cards. I mean, you're almost going to need custom water cooling for a solution like this, or you're almost going to need 24/7 air conditioning to blow in your computer. That's the only way you're going to cool the three video cards down to where they get lower temperatures. So yeah, I just kind of walk through here. That's normally what I do for my benchmark run. I just run through this one level. And just for the heck of it, I'll jump in the water and show you like what I mean when it overheats your GPUs. Oh, look at that, I died. Normally you swim through there and they get really, really warm. So look at 91, 92 Celsius in the water. I mean, it's insane. I'm running auto fan speed right now. So I'm thinking the GPUs actually go up to about 75% fan speed with the auto fan speed setting. Yeah, it's extremely smooth. It works great. Metro 2033 is very demanding. I get higher frames per second in that game. I think I killed Crysis 3, and I think I killed Metro 2033. because my frames per second is just extremely smooth, and this solution beats a lot of the solutions out there, like the 690 GTX, and probably it's right up there with the three-way 680 GTX and SLI, three-way SLI. Yeah, so it's very, very demanding, and it's right up in there in that price range. I think these three graphics cards cost me about $1,200 United States dollars, USD. So it's yeah, it's very, very demanding, but it's cheaper than some solutions. So yeah, if you look at the VRAM usage, 1,905 megahertz VRAM usage. When I was recording my other video, maybe I'll like take a screenshot to show you guys how high I had to hit 2,008 megabytes of VRAM, which is insane. And you can see my GPU temperatures are getting a lot warmer. Three cards are a little bit loud. They're not too loud, but they're a little bit louder. I can lower the temperatures if I run 100% fan speed on the video cards, but I don't want to do that because they overheat. Or I mean, they're just too loud. They're way too loud with 100% fan speed. So I just leave them on auto, and if they overheat, it's not a problem. I got a 3-year warranty on all my graphics cards, so I can return it for a new one. But yeah, it's okay for these cards to hit this temperature, you know, 90 Celsius or whatever. They're made to do this. The cards are made to hit 100 to 105 Celsius before they start throttling that clock speed down, and you know, to prevent damage. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped. Some of you guys are wondering, you know, what I get in Crysis 3 benchmarks. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel and clicking the like button. I really appreciate it. I got a lot of new subscribers. Got to give a shout out to sloppywetblow and some of my other a legend. I think I got some of my other subscribers. I'll throw a picture in the description of their channel. If you want, please subscribe to their YouTube channel. Check out the links below. They're the ones who really got me more of these subscribers, so I really got to thank sloppywetblow and some of the other guys. I love you guys. I really thank you so much. You know, I just try to make these videos, and I'm sorry if some of the quality is bad, like in my other video. I felt kind of ashamed because that quality was just ridiculous. It was a stupid webcam. So I hope I can make some better quality videos, and I hope you like the content so far. I'm still waiting for Battlefield 3 Endgame DLC to come out. Should be coming out later this month, so I will be making more videos like that. And Codemasters Race Driver Grid 2, that comes out in about 2 to 3 months. I will be making gameplay videos of that, so I'm really big into racing games and all that. So I hope this helps. See the frames per second, I will show it at the beginning. Keep in mind, I'll show the Fraps benchmark when I'm not recording, and that will show your frames per second normally. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope you liked the video. Have a nice day.